Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and this is my review, my what I think of Ant-Man and the Wasp, a movie that I have actually been waiting for now for 3 years this month. Surprisingly, it was almost 3 years to the week that Ant-Man came out. The first one to this one. And I'll tell you, I really love Paul Rudd in the character. I like the other characters that show up in this movie. And I've been waiting to see this sequel, probably more than I've been waiting to see a lot of other sequels in the MCU. I just really liked it. This movie, on the other hand, was not as good as the first one. It really wasn't. And that had a lot to do with nothing was really at stake, right? However weird that may sound. There will be spoilers going forward, but I'll try to keep them light as possible. So just so you know, if you want to know whether or not I think you should go see it, yeah, totally. It's the 20th entry into the MCU. It's entirely worth your time to check out. Just go in with mild expectations in terms of coming off of, let's say, Infinity War. But as for being a direct sequel to Ant-Man and Civil War, totally. And it works really well on that front. So the story picks up 2 years after Civil War. Scott's out on, house arrest. He's got a couple days left until he's going to be free. Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne, they are basically fugitives from the law due to the Sokovia Accord. So they do keep in line with that. And, he's sitting there by himself, but he has a weird dream about Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm. And he reaches out. So then they reach out to him and kidnap him and kind of bring him back as Ant-Man as a way to go into the quantum realm in order to rescue Janet. At the same time, you have Ghost, who I actually thought originally was Janet based on the original trailers, that she had come out of the quantum realm and then she had been bad. I was wrong. And then her being trying to get to the quantum realm in order to basically suck the energy or the radiation out of Janet in order to then make her whole again. It was kind of a weird, convoluted motivation for a villain. And I guess it made sense for the film, but ultimately they just wanted a villain. So they got Hannah John Kamen from Ready Player One and Sci-Fi's Killjoys to come in and to do this. So that was that. Ghost as a bad guy was interesting, but also not really much of a bad guy. That was my biggest complaint. It was like, oh yeah, Ghost is a villain, but that they're going to probably end up making her good, considering that there was a moral quandary halfway through the film that she was presented with an ultimatum and she chose not to take that ultimatum, which would have then solidified her as being a bad guy. So we know that there's good in her, and clearly Lawrence Fishburne's Bill Cross, Goliath essentially, saw. And so other than that, the only other bad guy was really Walter Goggins' character, who was kind of like a criminal who was trying to find out, what it was that they were working on in order to sell it off to his people, the people he works for. But we don't know who they are, but we're going to assume that they're going to be someone that's bad. And then you got Randall Park as the FBI agent that's trying to catch Scott Lang in order to, throw him in jail for 20 years, provided Scott doesn't adhere to the rules of his home arrest. That's about it. That's really about it. I mean, the movie's simple, ridiculously simple. One that I thought, I was watching it and I'm just like, there's got to be more here. I know it takes place before Infinity War, and I know it's taking place after Civil War, and I know there's a lot that's gone on since then, and that Ant-Man is not connected to that universe because Scott's been on house arrest, so obviously he doesn't know what's going on, and I get that. But you also want to feel like there's going to be something else that's there. Because the whole climax of the movie, you kind of see in a lot of the trailers. In fact, a lot of the jokes you see in the trailers, like when they make Hope makes the salt shaker big so the guy falls down. When she throws the Pez dispenser and turns it big so it knocks the guy off the motorcycle. That's all in the trailer. What really bothered me was the second post-credit scene was in the trailer when the ant is playing on the drums, which was cute and funny, but that was in the trailer. The post-credit scene was in the trailer. What are you doing, Disney? What the hell's going on here? But that's what happened. They did that. Again, the things I enjoyed about the movie were definitely Paul Rudd. He was great as Scott Lang. Evangeline Lilly took a little bit of time for me to get used to her character, because she seemed really abrasive, and I know that was the whole point. But once she started to warm up, and I think the audience was warming up to her as well, and it played out well in that regard. Michael Douglas was awesome as Hank Pym. Lawrence Fishburne, we would have loved to have seen him actually be Goliath instead of just being Goliath after the fact. Clearly he didn't die in Civil War. That's a spoiler in case you've never read the Civil War comic. The only one who died is Goliath, and it was a clone of Thor that killed him. Sorry. And other than that, it was just a very simple movie. It was very, very, very much full of heart, very full of humor, and very much oriented around family. Again, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne, them going to get her, they made a big deal about her being in the movie. She's in it for all of 2 minutes, it feels like. And then that's it. Now she's going to clearly take up be a bigger part in the third movie, which, given the fact that this one opened with 20 million more than Ant-Man did back in 2015, is probably going to indicate that a third movie is going to come, which is great. This movie felt like a filler episode in a season. It felt like the episode that you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of like the ones we have to go through in order to get the character exposition, in order to get to the final arc of the season. I got it. That's what it felt like the most. Wasn't really a bad thing, but it's just going to mean that I'm not going to go back and watch this thing on its own without having to watch, or without watching, it as like a trilogy. So like the Ant-Man trilogy, if it ever comes, I would probably watch those back to back to back versus watching this one just on its own. This movie is not one that you really ever feel the need to revisit, simply because it's just such a simple premise. It's such a simple movie. Not bad at all. Very straightforward, very much giving you what you want out of a Marvel film, but it's the 20th entry and you're still kind of like going, all right, it feels like a season of Game of Thrones where the second to last episode, i.e., Infinity War, that was the big one. And this one is just like the setup for what's to come, albeit there's not much of a setup at all. The first post-credit scene, which is really the only one you need to watch, is, they go into a quantum realm, Ant-Man goes into the quantum realm in order to fill up a battery in order to help Ghost get better, because they're trying to fix her, right? They're trying to treat her, trying to heal her. And then everyone, Thanos snaps his fingers and everyone gets dusted. And then he's stuck in the quantum realm. And apparently you do see Thanos' face in the quantum realm smiling. I have no idea I didn't notice it. Maybe when I buy it on home video or someone can find that image, then I'll be able to confirm that. But that's ultimately a lot of what the movie is. It's just kind of like, okay, let's get to the next one. And that is sad because this is Ant-Man, and Ant-Man is a beloved character. But again, it's also like a B character. It's not an A character. And it's one of those things where I think that Kevin Feige was like, well, I mean, we've already made enough money. Let's, we're doing 3 movies a year. Let's just do Ant-Man, right? We're doing Captain Marvel next year, Avengers 4 next year, and then Spider-Man Homecoming next year. So those are going to be our 3 for 2019. For 20, we've already done the $1 billion Black Panther, the $2 billion Infinity War. Ant-Man's fine. We'll just, it's a write-off if it fails. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. It's kind of what it feels like. It feels like they just made a sequel to Ant-Man simply because they just wanted to do 3 movies a year and everything else was coming into phase 4. And they're like, well, we might as well just do it. And that's, again, not a horrible thing, but also you can feel like there's just, it's so separated from everything else that it kind of comes off as a little bit odd. But then again, so was Black Panther, right? Even though Black Panther did tie into Avengers Age of Ultron, I mean, and Ant-Man 2 and the Wasp did tie into Civil War. So it's kind of one of those things where you're just like, you can see where it ties in, but it doesn't have the impact that Black Panther did. So I think that's the problem. It's out of the 3 Marvel movies this year, it's clearly the I don't want to say the worst one, but like number 3 on that list. And I think we all knew that was going to happen anyway, but it is good that it still exists. We do need a good family comedy to come out of the MCU that's not all dark and dreary like Avengers Infinity War was. And that is what Ant-Man and the Wasp provides. But again, a lot of the action sequences were all in the trailer. As sad as that is, a lot of the action sequences were all there. A lot of the marketing really spoiled a lot of this movie. And I know James Gunn says people like to have their stuff spoiled, and some studies have backed that up. But I wholeheartedly disagree, and it's unfortunate that it is still what it is. But anyway, what do you guys think about it? Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Did you think it was good? It was bad? If you haven't seen it and you've gotten this far, do you intend on seeing it? These are things I'm curious to know. Let me know in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This has been 3 Buck Theater. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace out.